What up, Raf leaders? Welcome back to my channel. We're on Main Street this morning. Main Street in Georgetown. This is the Ministry of Finance building. Ministry of Finance is directly across the street. That's looking south on Main Street. And just want to show you the location coordinates. Here we are. This is Lamaha Street and Main Street. All right, so it's Main Street and Lamaha Street. We're at that intersection. So at Lamaha Street, Main Street turns into High Street. So north of Lamaha Street, which is where we're looking right now, that's High Street. High Street has seen a lot of action in terms of new buildings. This one is the World Trade Center building, owned by DDL, Demerara Distillers Limited. They own the rights to the name World Trade Center, and they're building the first World Trade Center location here in Guyana. We're going to see more of that as the building gets completed. But what I want to talk to you today about is this building, the Ministry of Finance, and the financial decisions that the government is making recently. So recently the government announced that they were going to give every citizen 100,000 Guyana dollars, and they've modified that to include all Guyanese living at home in Guyana and abroad. Now this is where these decisions are made. This is the Ministry of Finance. That's where they're going to do all the calculations and the decisions about how that money gets paid. Of course, the decision is made by, it's a political decision made by the PPP government. Ministry of Finance is where the vice president is his ministry, right? The vice president is the head of the ministry. Basically, it's his portfolio. He's the Minister of Finance. His portfolio is finance. Takes over the oil industry and oil and gas industry and all that stuff. So it's his decision. The question is, what is better? Is it better to give every citizen $100,000, or would it be better to simply raise the value of the Guyana dollar? Right? I've argued on this channel for many years that the value of the Guyana dollar should rise as a result of the oil and gas industry providing a sturdy base for the economy in Guyana. This is another building that's being renovated. This is an office building. It's been in the middle of renovations for a while. It seems as if they're gutting the building. They're going to reduce it to its studs and then rebuild it. And so what's happening right now is demolition. I've seen this building torn down and rebuilt and torn down and rebuilt. This is probably the third time. Maybe it's under new ownership. And so we're going to see what it looks like when it's completed. But it had all its windows a few weeks ago. Now all the windows are being removed and the building is being gutted again here on Main Street. Of course, this is opposite the Prime Minister's residence. The Prime Minister's residence is exactly across the street here. Right, that's the entrance to the Prime Minister's. Behind all of this shrubbery, that's the Prime Minister's residence. That's looking north again on Main Street. But the point I'm making in this video is the comparison between the rise in the value of the Guyana dollar and giving each citizen a one-off payment, a single payment of 100,000 Guyana dollars, which roughly works out to be about 480 US dollars. So about 480 US dollars. Now, the opposition PNC has argued that this money is a trap. It's basically a honey trap to get you to turn over your information to the ruling party, the PPP. So what the opposition is arguing, so they're turning this into a political debate. Whereas for me, it's simply a financial choice, right? The government of Guyana now has ample supply of money coming in from oil and gas, about $3 billion US annually. This year is going to be 2.8 billion, and it's going to increase every year for the next 4 or 5 years as the output of oil, the oil industry increases. So looking back at this building that's being renovated, which is next door to the British High Commission. This is the doctor's flats. So basically what the opposition PNC is saying is that basically the government wants you to sign up to give your information, your identification, wherever you are in the world if you're Guyanese citizen. They just want to keep a track of you so they can get a record of you. And in order for you to collect this $480 US, you're going to have to enter a database. You're going to have to enter your information into this national database where now the government of Guyana is going to keep track of all of your identity markers. So now they know where you are and so on. They know who you are, whether you're living in London, New York, or Toronto, and so on. And they're arguing that the government can now use that information against you. They can use it to rig the election, or they can use it to provide the US with information about your earnings. Because if you're in the US and you collect $480 from Guyana, you know, which is your right to do so, you still have to pay US taxes on it. And there's evidence of Diwali, which was, in fact, today was last night. Diwali. You can see the diyas. Don't know if these are real. No, they aren't. But they're representing the Festival of Lights here on Main Street. So that's what they're arguing, right? They're arguing, oh, and recently there was the breast cancer walk, which is why there are these pink decorations on the trees. You can see on the trees there's some pink ribbon. On the trees they've decorated the city for the breast cancer, which was in October, breast cancer walk, and I think October was the breast cancer awareness month. And Diwali, which is the Festival of Lights, was celebrated yesterday. So there's still evidence of the celebration on the streets. So yeah, the argument is that the government simply wants access to your identity, and this $480, which is minuscule compared to, you know, what you probably make in the US, is just a way for them to trap you into providing your information. Meanwhile, that information is now going to be available to your government, the US government, so that they can charge you taxes on it. That is the official residence of the president's official residence here on Main Street. Right, that's the entrance on Main Street. Opposite the Guyana Power and Light GPL building. But my argument, guys, is that instead of all of this song and dance about giving Guyanese $100,000 each at home and abroad, you know, and the arguments for and against it, rather than get into a political argument about it, why not just make it a purely financial discussion? And that is the value of providing one-off payments is minuscule compared to raising the value of the Guyana dollar. If you raise the value of the Guyana dollar to what it was when the country gained independence, when Guyana became independent, the Guyana dollar was about 2 to 1 US. In other words, $1 US was equivalent to $2 Guyana. Right now, the exchange rate is 212 Guyana dollars to 1 US dollar. Guyana now has the economic base to support a stronger dollar. So my argument is, instead of playing around with giving certain groups of people 250,000 Guyana dollars and 100,000 Guyana dollars and 200,000 Guyana, instead of playing around with all these numbers, why not simply raise the value of the Guyana dollar? The value of the Guyana dollar should be raised back to its original strength of 2-to-1 with the US dollar. And that would solve all of these problems, right? Because what it does is it renews the value of Guyanese labor. So suddenly now what Guyanese earn will actually be really worth some money. So if you're earning right now, you're earning 60,000 Guyana dollars a month. If you raise the value of the Guyana dollar back to 2-to-1 US, suddenly that 60,000 Guyana dollars will be worth 30,000 US dollars, right? And the economy will adjust itself, will readjust itself. This is the Bureau of Statistics, right? The government's statistics arm. That's the famous Palm Court nightclub, restaurant and bar. That's looking north again, showing you as we progress along Main Street here on the 1st of November. That is the Sacred Heart Church. It's the Roman Catholic Church, Sacred Heart Roman Catholic Church. On the other side, this is the famous Chinese restaurant, the main branch, New Thriving. So the New Thriving restaurant is located here. We're going to go in and take a look at some of these restaurants and give you a review of some of the foods that you can buy in Guyana. But that's New Thriving restaurant here. And there's a whole lot of buildings that are ripe for renovation. This one next to New Thriving, and another one that's been under construction. That frame has been under construction for several decades, at least 2 or 3 decades now, 30 years. But yeah, this is Main Street. So what I'm arguing, guys, is that instead of saying that we're going to give this group $250,000, maybe the morning. So instead of saying we're going to give fishermen $250,000, we're going to give, these sugar workers on this estate $250,000. We're going to give every Guyanese $100,000, which is how the government has been handling our finances. Why not just raise the value of the Guyana dollar back to its original value of 2-to-1? And the way to do that is to simply change the currency. In other words, change the face of the currency, issue a new set of currency, and say this is the new Guyana dollar, and it's worth 2-to-1 US. It's a very simple thing, and in fact, it will achieve the same effect. It will counteract the inflation rate, because the country has been dealing with massive inflation, which has not been covered in recent times, right? The country has been dealing with massive inflation, and price of local groceries has been increasing, getting more and more expensive every month, but without much notice in the news, right? It's not being covered. Instead of giving people $100,000 to deal with inflation, why not do the ultimate inflation killer, which is to revalue the Guyana dollar, revalue the currency, change it so that the value of the Guyana dollar, the new currency which you issue, is now 2-to-1 with the US dollar, or whatever, right? Whatever valuation, revaluation you could do it in stages, where, for example, you start by making it 100-to-1, then 50-to-1, then 2-to-1, then 1-to-1, and so on, right? But instead of giving out one-off payments of 100,000 Guyana dollars, why not revalue the Guyana dollar? And that's all I'm saying, and I've actually argued this for many, many years. If you go back and take a look at the archives, you'll see that I've covered this topic several times. The value of the Guyana dollar should increase for many, many reasons, but the most important one right now is that it will counteract inflation. It will eliminate inflation and allow Guyanese the power of the currency that we once had, which allowed us to travel the world and buy goods and services locally and abroad at the same prices as, in the same effort, the same time cost as everyone else in the world. This is the Bank of Guyana straight ahead. The Central Bank of Guyana, of course, this is the bank that would have to issue the new currency. We started at the Ministry of Finance and we're ending here at the Bank of Guyana. Across the street, that is the National Library. The reason why I'd like to take these walks is it gives you a chance to see how the city is changing in real time, and it's like showing your work, right? I want you to show you exactly how I'm arriving at these statements that I make on this channel. It's because I'm grounded in the society. I'm actually living here, and I can tell you, based on my experiences locally, living in Guyana for now the past 11 years, what I feel, how I feel about the society and the progress that's being made. But that's my thing, guys. That's what I'm saying. Change the value of the Guyana dollar, revalue the Guyana dollar, make it 2-to-1 US, issue a new currency, and instead of paying people one-off cash grants, just revalue the Guyana dollar, because that is going to affect everybody the same way, regardless of their political affiliation. It's not going to be a PNC or a PPP thing. It's just going to be a currency, a financial thing. And I wish that we would spend our efforts and times focusing on the fundamentals, the finances of the country, rather than politics. You know, I got people in the channel, in the comments telling me that the PPP is going to get credit for any kind of progress, all these roads that are being. It's really not about a political party. This is about the country and what's good for the country. That's what I think. Bank of Guyana building, Hand in Hand building, that's the major insurance company in Guyana. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Tell me what you would think about revaluing the Guyana dollar at this stage. Instead of giving out cash grants, why not simply revalue the Guyana dollar so that instantly Guyanese can experience a step up in value, right? The value of their currency can now be similar to the rest of the Caribbean and the rest of the world, because that is what the international banks like the IMF and World Bank are saying, right? That Guyana is now one of the richest countries in terms of PPP, the payment, what is it? In terms of the strength of the currency, Guyana's effective spending power is about $80,000 per year, compared to the US, which is $85,000 per year, and say places like Singapore, which is about $143,000 per person per year, $143,000 per person per year, $80,000 per person per year, and so on. And the best way to make that real is to simply revalue the Guyana dollar. That's all I'm saying. Share with me your comments below. This month, the month of November, I'm going to bring you some more detailed arguments about what I think is happening and the direction in which the country's economy is going, as well as to show you indoor and outdoor realities. You know, we're going to go around, have breakfast at some of the new hotels. Some people have been asking me to give you a tour of the hotels. I haven't been able to do that recently, but I will in future, later on in the month, and give you hands-on, on-the-ground insights on what the Guyanese economy is doing, where you can feel and experience it with me. But that's what's up here, guys. That's what's happening. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in the fastest growing economy in the world, Guyana. Later! That is the town hall. And over in the distance, that's now the tallest building in Georgetown.